Now, I was online and I came across a topic about how strong a Canon Super Saiyan 4 Goku would be. Now, there's so much disrespect out there, so much disrespect. Like, the disrespect, it gets kind of out of hand a little bit. And a lot of it is based on, like, a lot of people who didn't even watch the series and only just going off of word of mouth. Now, y'all can disrespect GT all day, but there was a lot of good concepts, and y'all definitely not going to disrespect Super Saiyan 4 because that's probably the most coolest transformation in the whole franchise, and definitely still popular to this day. So there's definitely some good gems that came out of Dragon Ball GT. But back to the topic at hand. So we're talking about Super Saiyan 4 if it was made canon. Now, I seen someone do a video on this topic, and they're stating pretty much that Super Saiyan 4 wouldn't be that strong and would kind of be irrelevant, and that is not true. Because if they decide to incorporate, Super Saiyan 4 or either go the GT route, Super Saiyan 4 would definitely be much stronger than a lot of transformations and forms like Super Saiyan and these other things that was introduced. Because, for one, there was already a comparison at the time about Super Saiyan 4 being possibly stronger than Super Vegito in the Buu arc. And Super Vegito was way stronger than Buuhan. Buuhan, who is probably way much stronger than Kid Buu. Now, that's just one aspect. But the other thing people forget is that when they look at this thing, it always turns into a debate between Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball GT about who's stronger. And then it's just like there's so much contradictions and stuff that's in the series that kind of contradict everything that they're stating when it comes to this debate. Now, there's always people talking about feats and stuff about what Super Saiyan God did and Goku's fight with Beerus and them shaking the multiverse. But I already did a video about this. The only reason that it happened was because, Goku didn't have no control over the God Key and didn't know how to use that key yet. So he pretty much was just running wild. The same thing as if Goku had a high power level as a Super Saiyan and didn't know how to control it. Just like Frieza state about making his other forms to control his final form power because he can lose control of it at the time, and which it didn't look like he had, lost control, but more like a character like Broly, who could like run havoc, and even him, he still have some level of control of his power, even though he goes berserk. If he had no control at all, he'll probably be just doing like blast, like kind of like similar to what Kid Buu did, where he just put a lot of energy into his blast and pretty much blew up the earth with like no sense. But that would take a lot. So I already kind of went into that whole thing, and that's the reason why we don't see that happen throughout Super, and even with him combining Super Saiyan with Super Saiyan God and becoming Super Saiyan Blue, we don't see any of those things happen. And that's something that a lot of people don't even tend to even realize when they're looking at the show and the series and the statements and all these other things. They just quick to say, oh, this form is strong because of this one feat, and pretty much saying GT didn't have that much feat because he had a better control of power. And as much as GT gets a lot of hate, people don't realize just how powerful Goku was in Dragon Ball GT and just how powerful the villains were. So it's just like, those are all just aspects that people have to kind of just look at when you look at these people. Just because some things may not be visually, impressive, doesn't mean that the power is not there. And the second thing to that is also, you're trying to compare a new show to an old show. Something that came out back in 97, 98, and to compare it to something that came out in 2013, which is like almost over, bunch of years, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, there's a lot of factors to look at when you're looking at this. But back to a little bit more detail of some things. Now, the other thing is that when you're talking about, Super Saiyan 4 being canon and being placed inside, the Dragon Ball Super universe, you got to also put in the factor that, one, Goku already has God Ki and adapted into his base form and his regular Super Saiyans, which is like 1, 2, all the way up to 3. So all those forms are already kind of boosted in power. So that means Super Saiyan 4 will be kind of boosted in power. Now, since Super Saiyan 4 is kind of a different transformation from just the regular Super Saiyan, there's still a possibility that Goku can mix his God Ki with his Super Saiyan 4 to maximize that into making a form way more powerful than his Super Saiyan Blue or Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, and possibly maybe even stronger than his UI form. So it's all just really a key and not really a transformation. And that's what people are not realizing, because at the end of the day, Goku's mixing two different keys together, which is probably the reason why, Super Saiyan God is so powerful. But another note is that people fail to realize when they give, Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue this high pedestal, we see contradictions in the series. We see Goku go against, the Saiyans from Universe 6, and none of them have Super Saiyan Blue. None of them barely even could reach Super Saiyan 3. And they're in the tournament fighting these high-power characters and still kind of keeping up with them. So I don't want to hear anything else about them saying that Super Saiyan 4 will get, that doesn't make any sense, because at the end of the day, that means the Universe 6 Saiyans should all get destroyed. Another thing is, we've seen Ultimate Gohan kind of throw hands with Super Saiyan Blue and definitely got stronger. And even though Gohan is a mutant of like his power, we could kind of still say the same thing for Super Saiyan 4, because at the end of the day, Goku's still a Saiyan, and as far as he got stronger in GT for each arc without doing any training, because the only training that we've seen in GT was the beginning of GT of Goku and Oob concluding their training and having a final sparring. After that, there was no training in the whole show at all. So for Goku to get as powerful as he did in the series of GT without doing absolutely no training, not even training his Super Saiyan 4 transformation, we don't even know what is the full potential of Super Saiyan 4, because the series went by so fast and Goku didn't even have time to fully even like explore and master the form, because it was just enemies after enemies, as something was just always going on. So Goku didn't even have a chance to settle. He just pretty much got accustomed to using the form as each arc went on, and that's pretty fast for him to get that much power and that accustomed, to the point where, like I said, if Goku was to train with Super Saiyan 4 and get to explore, there's probably other levels for it to be tapped in, and that's probably the biggest potential that we haven't seen yet in the show. So definitely, I think that a canon Super Saiyan 4 would definitely be a monster in the series, and how they would introduce it, that's up to the writers. And well, Akira Toriyama kind of gone now, it's kind of like, unfortunate that we'll never fully get to see if he had a vision to bring it, unless he has something in writing somewhere about that, but we wouldn't really know. So, but it's just fun to explore these topics, but there's definitely just a lot of misconceptions when it comes to these topics, especially when it comes to Dragon Ball GT. GT just gets so much hate, but Super Saiyan 4 gets a lot of love. But the same time of it getting a lot of love, it gets a lot of hate, and a lot of people just don't really understand about the power scaling of GT, and the people like to use the canon button to like whatever suits them. They like to incorporate things from video games. They like to incorporate stuff from Dragon Ball superheroes, and it's like, you guys incorporate those stuff as like, oh, that's what's the definitive thing about what they're insinuating. But when it comes to other topics, when it comes to things about the video game, or when we're talking about Dragon Ball heroes, you guys like to say, oh, it's non-canon, and you guys don't even care for it. But you guys are quick to use those same things that you're calling non-canon to try to fuel the debate about how powerful Super Saiyan 4 is against Super Saiyan Blue or God and all this other stuff. And It's like at the end of the day, the Japanese don't care about any of that, and they just care about making something that's fun and interesting that they can work on. That's all that they really care about. Now, another thing is this. Let's take a look at this image over here where we see how much that, they stole from GT with this so-called Saiyan ritual. Last time I checked, I seen GT do this first, where they powered up Super Saiyan 4 Goku to, his full power form. So they're definitely stealing stuff, and there's just some stuff that just don't get acknowledged too much and not enough credit either. But definitely, like I said, a Canon Super Saiyan 4 would definitely be a monster in the series with no drawbacks, just pure raw power. And like I said, a lot of people are just forgetting just how powerful these characters are. And Dragon Ball GT happens after Dragon Ball Super, so let's just put that there.